Investigation continues. We are starting to hear from people who were there on Bourbon Street. And you have to keep into perspective, this was supposed to be a fun evening, a time for joy, a time for celebration, and for feeling safe in your surroundings. And so this morning we are joined by Lance McCurley, and we understand is one of the survivors. He was there in the area. Lance, we know this must have been a very difficult evening, a very difficult morning, so thank you for taking some time to speak with us.
Yeah, of course. Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you see me?
I can see you, and we can hear you. Can you kind of walk us through where you were in relation to this incident, what you heard? Just explain to us what you experienced.
So it was around 3:15. It was I got back to where I was going at 3:15. It was around 3:01, 3:02 a.m. I was at Pat O'Brien's on Bourbon Street. I was closing out my tab. I walked out. There's two entrances to Pat O'Brien's. I think St. Peter Street, and then there's Bourbon Street. I walked out on the St. Peter Street side, and I heard 6 shots go off. And everybody started running everywhere. I'm still kind of processing it too. I did hear 3 shots that were fired back, and this was all behind me. This was all, like I said, I did not enter off of the Bourbon Street side, but it was around that general vicinity of where it happened. Because, the French Quarter is very small, very small place, all compact. And a guy looked at me, and he said, "Did you just hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And I just kind of booked it for about 30 seconds, just until I could get in front of. There were still, it's New Year's night. There were probably a couple thousand people, just in the quarter itself, and it was still packed. I think the bar that I was at closed at 3, and it was just I'm still processing. But I heard 6 loud pops and just hightailed it out of there. And then I woke up this morning. I had no idea that 10 people had been killed. It was kind of shocking to me, and it's just kind of a lot to handle right now. And like you said, this is supposed to be a day, fun. I'm a journalist too. I'm a photographer. I work for the UGA rival site, UGAsports.com, and I'm here to shoot the game. And I don't even know if I want to go to the game. It's just something it's the first time I've experienced something like this, and it's really hard to describe.
I can't imagine being in that situation, Lance, and when we've heard so many people describe the chaos, of course, heartbreaking to know dozens injured, more than 10 people losing their life here. You said you ran out of there, your safety, you're trying to put that at the forefront. Did you run with others? Did you hide somewhere? Where did you go after this was going on?
I ran straight back. I'm staying at the Sheraton over on the Media Hotel over on Canal Street. I booked it for about 30 seconds. There were people behind me. I was running by myself. There were people running beside me. There were people running. Everybody was headed the same way. It was kind of a cluster. I saw somebody tripped. Probably got cut up pretty bad because where we were, it's all not part of it's cobblestone. It's all granite. It's all like I said, somebody tripped, get helped up, but I ran straight back to the hotel where I was staying, and I haven't slept since. But it was just kind of a mass chaos ensued.
I know collectively as a community and Texans, we are grieving for Louisiana as well. I can't imagine what the atmosphere is like there today as you're outside your hotel walking around. A very somber feeling, I can imagine.
So I met up with a couple of Georgia fans that I know. I was just out walking in the French Quarter this morning, and a lot of it was taped off, and I'm at lunch now with these same people. We get into an Uber just to get out of the French Quarter. We're more towards 2 lanes, campus, about 10, 15 minutes, from the quarter, and we get into the Uber, and our Uber driver is crying. It was an older lady, and my buddy puts his arm on her shoulder and said, "Hey, what's wrong?" And it turns out that her nephew was one of the ones killed. I'm not BSing at all. He was a Georgia fan, 27 years old, from Mobile, Alabama. I didn't catch a name, but he had just gotten here with his girlfriend to celebrate New Year's, and this is the first Georgia game that he's been to this year. First Georgia game he's been to in 3 years, and she was just a wreck, and it's just kind of hard to. It's just kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
There were family. I assume, that there were families. Obviously, 47 families, 10 people killed. Another 35, 37 shot, and they woke up this morning, and I couldn't fathom being in that situation right now.
So many
First thing I did was I called my dad. When I found out, I just thought it was I thought it was just a drive-by shooting, honestly. And I maybe slept for like 30 minutes, and I woke back up. First thing I did, I saw that, I called my dad, and I said, "I'm good, okay." I've been getting text all day, and I'm hearing that the game might be delayed. And we're only here through Thursday, or through tomorrow. So I don't even know if I want to go to the game anymore, to be completely honest with you.
I was going to ask you if you want to go at this point, and that's got to be very difficult to be in that situation. And you referenced that you didn't know even necessarily the gravity of this situation. When did you find out? Was that this morning? Were on the news, or how were you notified?
My boss, his name was Ronnie DeVolsi, called me at, I think I'm looking at my phone log right now, called me at 7:17 a.m. and then called me again at 7:25. And that was right around the time where, I'd kind of passed out and woke back up. He said, "Are you okay?" Looked in our work group meet. Everybody was accounted for but me, because they knew that they knew that I was out that late. I told them that. And then I got on Twitter, and, it's the first thing you see. And like I said, I thought that it was just, maybe a drive-by shooting or a random shooting, or there was a fight that led to a shooting. Shots got fired, but I didn't realize the magnitude of the situation until, about 7:25 this morning.
And Lance, as you're out there walking around this morning, have you had any interaction with law enforcement? Has there been any other additional security measures? Can you talk to us about that, what that looks like?
So I can't remember exactly where shooting happened. I do know that, and I talked to a cop. I talked to a cop this morning, and the first thing I said was, "God bless you, and thank you for doing your job." And they had, in several areas of the French Quarter, they had, different streets blocked off. I was told that the Louisiana National Guard was going to be deployed, or had been deployed, just to come help with the situation. But there's a heavy police presence, even on Canal Street, where I'm staying at. The Georgia's staying right across the street, at the Marriott of Canal Street, and there were extra security around the Marriott. I'm just kind of all over. And from what I was told by some of my friends that I'm eating lunch with, is that they had watched like a trash can blow up this morning. because apparently, I don't know his name or, who the attacker was, had bombs. And they said that, and that's part of the reason that I think the game hasn't been officially, postponed, is because of everyone's safety. They think that, there might be, from what I've heard, they don't know if he's, acting alone or, I'm a reporter too. I don't like to make, assumptions, but, from what it was to me, it just doesn't sound like whoever it was acted alone. And, might have had, other stuff, planning all over the city. And so, it's just kind of, that's why it's kind of up in the air right now from what I've heard.
So many lives affected, a city impacted. I can't imagine what you've endured over these past few hours, Lance, but I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And of course, we'll be thinking of you as the hours go by.
Yeah. Yeah, I do want to say before I leave, like I said, the Uber driver, I don't want to share. I don't think I got a name, but he was 27 from Mobile, Alabama. His nickname was Spider-Man, from what his aunt told me. Loved Georgia football. He grew up being an Alabama fan. When Kirby Smart, Georgia's head coach, moved from, took the job as head coach in Athens, moved from Alabama's Saban staff to Georgia. That's when he became a Georgia fan. And I just want his family to be remembered. I told her, got her number. I told her, hey, and I'm a Georgia fan too, I just don't show my bias. And I told her, whenever the game happens, if they win, if they don't, I'm going to grab confetti if they win. If not, I was in LA and I was in Indianapolis the year before in 21 and 22 when Georgia won a national championship, and I've got confetti from the field. And I told her, if they don't win, take your pick of the confetti. I will mail it to your family. It's just a remembrance of Spider-Man, her nephew, who's one of the 10 that was lost.
Very special tribute to so many who are grieving right now. Lance, thank you for your perspective today.
Yeah, and thank you for reaching out.
Be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.